Hi guys, my name is Ramsey and welcome back to my channel. So, today we're going to look at yet another design pattern from software design and how we may be able to build N8N workflows implementing this design pattern where it is relevant, of course. Last episode, we looked at the factory method. And with the factory method, we were trying to create different products. We'd have a factory that could switch between different individual product creators depending on what specification came in the request. I think I can actually show it here. So this is what we're going to build today, but let's just leave that for a moment and look at the content repurposing factory, which is where we had the factory method. As you can see here, we would submit a YouTube transcript or a URL, and then we'd get the transcript and we'd say what kind of content we wanted. So we were repurposing that content, whether we wanted LinkedIn content or Twitter/X content or Medium content. And then that's what we would get at the end, right? So it's kind of similar to what we're going to learn today, except in this case, we are going to do the abstract factory method. But let's dive into it and you'll sort of understand what I mean as we go. So, what is the abstract factory method? It's a way to pick and switch between whole sets of related tools or services without changing how your workflow is built, right? Or you can call it a strategy to swap out one family of tools for another while keeping your overall process the same. So basically what happens is there's an interface or a general recipe to create a group of related things without specifying the exact details of those things up front. So I'm just going to explain this in an abstract way, and then we're going to look at some concrete examples, and it's going to make a lot more sense then. So instead of deciding a specific tool or service at design time, you design your workflow to ask an abstract factory for the tools it needs. And then later you can decide, even at runtime, which actual group of tools, that is which factory to use. So all the components from that factory are made to work together and you can switch factories easily. In short, it lets you produce families of related products or services without tying your logic to a specific one. Okay, so let's look at some examples. One example is the theme switcher. So if you've used almost any kind of software today, you know you can switch between dark theme and light theme, the dark mode and light mode, right? And each theme comes with its own family of icons, buttons, and so on, right? So depending on what theme you go for, you're going to get all the families of icons and buttons that match that theme. Underneath, when you choose a theme, maybe that request is going to some kind of abstract factory that then routes the request to some code that creates these icons or instantiates them. But that code knows how to create an entire family of icons. That is the concrete factory. And the abstract factory just does the switching, deciding which particular concrete factory to call. And then in the end, you get the icons, the buttons, and so on in your UI. Same thing with appliance brands. Like let's say you want to get appliances for your kitchen. You might want a cooker, a fridge, and a microwave oven. And if you find a brand that has a package that gives you all of these, and you can just like buy all of these things from the same brand. Later on, if you find another brand that offers the same things, you can just switch to that other brand and have the entire family of appliances without having to think about the particular design of a microwave oven or a kitchen or cooker, as long as they're consistent. The best way to understand this is this is a furniture example I got from where I learned about the abstract factory method. But again, furniture consists of different products. You have a chair, a table. Never mind, I got this done by ChatGPT, so it's going to get the legend wrong. But there are different components to furniture, but they all may follow a particular style. Maybe the modern style, maybe the Victorian style, maybe the Art Deco style. So if you are getting furniture for your house, depending on the kind of style you want, you go to someone who makes furniture in that style, and then you just buy your stuff from there. And then if you want to switch over all of your furniture, you can switch over to a different style and talk to someone who does that. So you can see the main difference between the basic factory method and the abstract factory method is what's being switched between fundamentally. The basic factor method switches between different products, and the abstract factor method switches between different factories that produce families of related products, right? You can see a little diagram here that sort of like illustrates this. You have your input, right? And then you've got an abstract factory that switches between different concrete factories. And these ones give concrete products. And then, you can unify these and give the output. So we're going to try and do this in an N8N demo. And here, basically, we're going to have like a customer. I wanted a simple one to just demonstrate the idea, but you can make it as complex as you want. It's going to be customer support, right? A customer support bot, where you have a customer request coming in. And in this case, what I was considering is, let's say, because I chose the fictional scenario of a clinic, a small oncology clinic. And this clinic has a knowledge base, right? And depending on the kind of question the customer asks, you may want to check the knowledge base for more context before answering. Or it may be like the kind of question you can give a quick response to, like just try the question and answer. Now, let's say you want to consider cost and stuff. So if it's a knowledge-based question, you'd rather route it to say something like Gemini because it has a large context window and the per token price is very low, right? But if it's a fast triage question, you want to send it to an open AI model, right? Which it's a bit more expensive token wise and has a smaller context window, but maybe faster reasoning or something, I don't know. So you want to route it to the right agent depending on the kind of question. So you can have a text classifier in the middle here that then decides which one the customer request should be routed to and does the routing. I got ChatGPT to kind of make a nice cyberpunk illustration of this here. It's mostly right, but I guess you get the idea. And without further ado, we're gonna jump in and just build it. So where were we? We were doing the abstract factory demo, customer support agent. And we kind of have this. This is weirdly incomplete. No, I don't know. I mean, I guess when I was playing with it, I forgot to do the whole merge at the end. But we'll do that as we build our own. So should be pretty easy at this point. You kind of get the idea from because we've been doing this a few videos. You kind of get the idea from the TL drawer, and now we're just going to try and implement it. Of course, there'll be a lot of copy pasting. Anyway, first thing, we are going to name this workflow only as soon as it loads. And there we have it. So this is going to be the abstract, or let's just call it customer support agent abstract factory method. Okay, fine. So the first step, of course, we're going to simulate with a chat trigger. So we'll just open this and have on chat message. And of course, you'll add whatever chat you want in there. I think I've done this. Like I have like some past executions here where I have like example chats. I just like to choose a quick example. I don't like to rethink it, but I believe there's probably an example here. Okay, so let's just pick that example then. And it's going to be this one. I'm just going to press that and copy selection. That's one quick way to copy. And we can just test this chat quickly. I like to do this and get it out of the way so we have like data to pin for usage downstream. And now we see that the node has executed successfully. Hey, if anyone has any idea why when I have a chat trigger, it does 2 runs and the first run actually gives me whatever I typed and the second one is just empty, please let me know in the comments because this thing bothers me and I haven't really had time to troubleshoot it, but I'd like for it to go away. So we have here, so I guess we call this Beacon Hope. That's the name of the fictional clinic. So quick questions. I had a core needle biopsy yesterday. When will the full pathology and molecular results be ready? My oncologist scheduled chemo for next Thursday. Can I still get an inactivated flu shot this week or do I need to wait? Thanks for clarifying. That's fantastic. So I'm just going to pin this. And now what it goes to is a text classifier, right? A text classifier, which is going to determine whether that request needs to be answered with the knowledge base for context or not. And we're just going to come back and get the prompt for this right off of here. And the idea is basically you prompt this, and here it says text to classify. So actually you're supposed to probably give it a system prompt, right? Okay. Okay, so let's see, how did I write this? Okay, so we have, I think I wrote this wrong. Text to classify is just supposed to be the text to classify, but there should be a system prompt where you write some other stuff, and you've got like categories. So with the text classifier, just write the system prompt. So it says here, you can use the template actually. Please classify the text provided by the user into one of the following categories. Captures and use the provided formatting instructions below. Don't explain and only output the JSON. So in the categories, you would have something like, I guess we're going to add a category here just to help us think about it, but it's needs KB and does not need KB. And then you'll say this response. So for the description, this response needs more context from the knowledge base. And for the other one, it would be that it does not need more context. So let's just have that. So needs KB. That's one category. This request needs more context from the KB. I don't know why I wrote response. Request needs more context from the KB. And then does not need KB. And we can say that this request does not need more context from the KB. Great. So we have that. And now we can add the text to classify as a chat input right there. And here we can say, please classify the text provided by the user into one of the following user categories. So for the categories, I guess we would say needs KB and does not need KB. I don't know. And then maybe we can add some of the prompting that I put in the wrong place in the first place. It's like your support triage classifier. Decide if the message can be answered with common sense or needs the knowledge base. The categories are needs KB and do not need KB. Okay, so we'll just add that down here. Pretty sure there's some repetition here, but I'm just doing that to be safe. And now if we test this step, let's see what we get. I do not have a model. Okay, so we are going to add a model. And we are going to use an OpenAI chat model. Of course, you can get your credentials. I will have the documentation, the link to the documentation for that. Heck, we could even use GPT-4o Mini. Is that what I use here? I believe that's what I use here. Let's check the model for this. Yeah, it's GPT-4o Mini. Let's have that as our model. And now if we run this, we should see something interesting. Oops. Missing value for input needs KB, does not need KB. Troubleshooting URL. Okay, that's so interesting. Okay, let's see if I get rid of this. Is it going to help? There. So needs KB, does not need KB. Right. So yeah, we just needed this like one prompt. So you just tell it what the categories are and it does the thing, right? Okay, so it's like an intelligent switch and you can see the different branches. So now we know we need a KB. So this is where things get interesting. We have an AI agent here that, of course, I use OpenRouter to get to Gemini, and OpenRouter is pretty easy to use. I'll show you. But anyway, so we're here and we are going to add an AI agent. And for the model, we're just going to choose that real quick. We'll go to OpenRouter. So with OpenRouter, you can easily get, so you just like create an account in OpenRouter, fairly straightforward. And then once you create an account, you can sign in. It just gives you access to so many different models, so many, including open source ones. I think I already created my account, so I can just like come in Oops, wrong one. No? Don't think so? Let's see. There we are. And if you do that, if you come to your profile pic, I think, I don't know why that's not working, but it should have a, yeah, this. You can come here and click on keys, and you can just create an API key and copy it. So when you come back here, when you create a new credentials, you just dump the API key in there. So in this case, we want Gemini, we want Google. Where are you, Gemini? Google, Google Gemma, Google Gemini. I think I took Gemini 2.5 Pro preview just because it's cool, but you can choose Flash and so on. They're pretty good. They all have the same context windows. And then sort of come back here and we need to prompt this guy. So I'm just gonna like dump the prompt. Part of the prompt in the system actually is the knowledge base, right? So I'm just gonna like copy all this. That's that, and then copy. And we can come back here and add option and then add a system message. And I'm just gonna turn this to an expression because it allows me to expand this window so you can see. But this is basically it. Of course, I'm gonna share the template to this workflow so you can read the system message for this. But it's, you're a Beacon Hope Oncology Center support assistant. Answer only for adult oncology. Rely solely on the knowledge. Like I had ChatGPT help me write this prompt, and then a fictitious knowledge base in here, giving like a bunch of stuff, and then this provide the best possible answer that satisfies your users. It just like helps keep it on track at the end, so you don't have like lost in the middle kind of thing. And then the prompt user message is just going to be defined below, I think. And I think from there we're just like gonna pick whatever came from the chat. Actually, you know what? We're gonna have okay, so since it can pull from the chat input directly, we're just going to take whatever is in here. And this came from the text classifier, so we have that chat input. And I'm sure if we do this now, we should get like a response from this. There, you see, hello, regarding your questions for a core needle biopsy, the full pathology and molecular results are typically ready in 48 to 72 hours, and so on. Okay, that's pretty cool. So we can start renaming some stuff here. Like I think this was a message classifier. And I think we call this a customer request. Let's see. What do you call it? When chat message received. I guess we can leave it like that. We can just name it customer request. And this is our KB agent. I think that's what I named it here. So it's the KB agent. Gemini. I didn't name it that, but that's because this is a previous version. I'm sure if I go back to the agent, I named it. So KB agent. I'll just write Gemini. It doesn't really matter about the model. But then down here, we're gonna have, well, for this one, I just use an OpenAI messenger model, but technically we could use the same thing with like an open router node because it still gives you access to that. But let's keep things simple. Let's go for OpenAI messenger model. And you can choose the model. And for this, maybe you can have GPT-4o mini or something. Let's see. There. And let's see. So what's the prompting like? It's very simple. Guess the chat input, and then the prompt is here. So I'm just gonna copy this and paste it over right here. So this is a user message. So we're gonna add a system message, and we're just gonna have that in there. And you can see here, if I change it into an expression and expand it, it says you're a Beacon Hope fast triage bot. Answer in less than 2 short paragraphs. Do not mention internal KB. The question requests blah blah blah, detailed info. Let me fetch our full knowledge base. 1 moment, please. The question, and you can like have it like, if it does require, you can add extra routing to just have it go back to the KB agent. But that's just like an added layer of complexity that you can add, but it's not necessary to understand the concept here. And then the user message can actually come from this. So for this to work, we need a different chat message here. So let's just test this and actually come back here and to my executions. And I'm sure there's probably somewhere where I have something like a different kind of message. Let's see. So where would we have that? No? Okay, did I have that here? Let's see. No, was it like this one? Was it the first one? No? Where are you going? Oh yeah, this one. This is a nice one. So we can just copy that actually. And I'll show you what it says here. So this is the message. Hi, hey Beacon team. I just hope, just wanted to say I got my appointment confirmation email and everything looks good. No action needed right now. That's great. So that doesn't need KB stuff. And we can just send that. We'll just unpin and send. And now we have this, right? So again, that infamous second run. So here it is. And now if we run the message classifier on that, of course, to take the second run. Anyway, if we test the step, we should get that it goes to the does not need KB branch. So that's feeding right into this. I'm just going to rename this real quick as the fast try agent. And with that, if I run it, you should see here that we get, I'm here to help, but I can't provide personal and medical advice. It's best to consult a clinician for specific health concerns. If you have a general question, what the hell? Why would it do that? Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to pull in the chat input into the prompt right here. And now if we run this, I think it should do much better. Thank you for confirming your point. We're glad everything looks good and we appreciate you. Yeah, great. So it's working. And that's pretty much it, right? If I just tidy up my workflow here, I should be able to see everything looking good. And maybe you can add like a few set nodes here just to like sort of get the thing. So you can add a field here and maybe, okay, so just to make things easy, I'm just gonna add the set node here because it's easy to get variables, or just drag this down actually. There we go. So we can just come back here and say that we are taking response. That's the variable. That's the output we get, and it's just going to be whatever content is coming from here, right? And we can actually copy this because it's gonna be whatever the content. That's what we're gonna get. We can just duplicate this. Show that duplicate sitting somewhere here, and have it up here, right? And we can call this set Gemini response, and rename that, and then we can set OpenAI response here. Set OpenAI response. Great. The beauty of this is that once you're done with that, you can just like add a merge, just like we did with the basic factory method. You can watch that video to sort of understand what I'm talking about, and have this go in there with the two outputs, and it's just gonna like output whatever, so this is gonna give you the output. So it's gonna be in append mode, so it's gonna take whatever comes in. Since this is a switch, you're always gonna get one of these outputs. Here's the thing, if we run just tidy this up, but if we run the whole thing, right? So we have this right here. I'm just gonna copy that and try to run it again. And we just open chat and run the whole thing like so. We should get an interesting flow right here, right? So it just goes, routes it to the right guy, and we have our output here, the response object. And it's the same thing if we take the other run maybe. Let's see. This one, where's the one that says needs KB? Let's see. It's gotta be one of these executions. We just need to find out which one. Is it this one? Oh my god. What am I doing? What is this? Where is what I'm looking for? You know what? This is what we're gonna do. We're just gonna come back here and we are going to go back to the latest execution in the previous build and we're gonna pick the text example from that. It's just that simple. So the first run, then we're gonna take this and copy selection and just go back here and run. So paste, run. This is gonna say needs KB and it's gonna run and boom, maybe right now. Now it works. And we have a response. Why is it saying no? That's interesting. JSON.message.content. Oh, okay. So, sorry, it should be JSON.message.output because apparently Gemini calls its thing output. Damn. Gotcha right there, you know? If we run this again, we should just get that thing working. And now if we run this, we should have some output. Okay. Seems to be doing the wrong reference. Let me just pull this properly in here. And now it says JSON.output. That's what we really want. So now if we run this, it's going to give us the proper response. Yeah, well, it does a response here. The merge node doesn't seem to have run, but you know, you can always test a step. I guess it's just because of all the previous runs we've done. You can just do the thing again and see. Now it should work. Wow. So there seems to be greater latency with open route to chat. I don't know if anyone else has experienced this. Is latency like a problem? I guess it has to be. They add a few milliseconds. So there's that to consider when you're building practical workflows. But yeah, so there's the response. Now it works. And that's pretty much it. That's how the abstract factory method works. You could extend this to so many other things. Like let's say you have a family of image generators and video generators, and some of them make more realistic stuff, more realistic images and videos, and others make more cartoonish ones. You can have the abstract factory method, like if you put in a request or a prompt and you want one particular family to create your assets instead of another, you can have this intelligence switching, you know, and you can have the abstract factory like relate different families of creators. It doesn't have to be just one creator, like the KB agent and the fast triage agent. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Next time we'll be exploring another concept. I hope you enjoy these videos. If you have any ideas for what you'd like me to talk about, please drop a comment down there. And if you need help with your lead generation, we do lead generation automation. We do the entire lead pipeline. Actually, we can do that for you. And we also do content generation automations with AI. So I'm going to leave a link to my LinkedIn, and you can contact me, and we can see how we might be able to work together. And with that said, it's been fun. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Bye-bye.